So, hi everybody, welcome to our podcast, and today we have got the brilliant Peter Francis with us from MAT. Hi Peter, how are you?
Hi Marie, I'm absolutely fantastic, thank you very much.
Great for you to join us today. I'm really interested, especially in light of COVID, to find out a bit more about you, and because you're in the manufacturing space, sort of the challenges and opportunities for the future of that industry. So I think it's going to be really interesting. So tell me a bit more about who you are and what your business does.
Okay, well, I personally, I am an engineer, and a combination of a dad, entrepreneur, cat parent, winemaker, someone else's rock, and a comedian. So as engineers really don't have any friends, so I find that these sort of conversations are great because I can pretend I have some friends now. I set up MAT, what it was called Midland Automation Technology, 1993. So we have been going for quite some time now. And the whole purpose behind it was engineering in a manufacturing space, trying to help people overcome their problems, particularly in automation and controls, which is one of those scary subjects I think that people tend to shy away from a bit.
Have you seen many of your business evolve then, especially in light of COVID?
Oh, phenomenally, but it wasn't necessarily because of COVID. COVID has just come along at a particular time. A lot of companies they have their own in-house teams, but what they're looking for has been designs, and we are focusing particularly on people's problems, especially when they don't really understand what the problem is. And our idea is to try and educate them into working out that problem so they can find a solution and shop for that, rather than mess around trying to second guess who might be the experts to bring in. So we're actually very early on in the stage of overcoming problems. The change really has been that the big jobs they're big, but they're intermittent, and I wanted to focus on smaller jobs. And before COVID, we decided we were going to drop down to doing that. But then with COVID, everyone's sort of trenched in. They don't really want to be committing too much at the moment. They're not looking at development. They were looking at survival. But now we're in a position where there's lots of small businesses who really do want to be growing, and they're taking the opportunity. And they may have problems which are an issue. They don't understand them. They don't know how to overcome it, so they carry on as they normally do. And people like ourselves, we can help overcome their problems, train them in how they use their plant better, maybe, or even make some changes for them. And then they're off into business growth, new ideas, new products, wherever they want to go.
Brilliant. So does that mean you look at like the supply chain, or do you look at automation of their processes and improve with new technologies, or is it a combination?
We don't actually go in with we go in with a very broad approach. We're not looking at one particular aspect. People may have an issue with their production line. They've got repeated quality failures. They're not able to increase the throughput because of something that they don't understand. We'll help to home in on what the causes are, particularly where there's people interacting with machines, and then try and get the best that we can for that customer. And so that the people who are working with the manufacturing plants are also engaged with the process, and they enjoy it. They're actually part of it and contributing to the company, rather than just being part of the machine.
Right, okay, I completely get it now. So you're all about improving processes for organisations.
That's right, and it's processes which are both industrial and business processes. where it may not look like it's an engineering issue, but engineering is about solving problems.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we can deal with it.
Yeah. Ah, okay. So I've totally got, coming from a service industry myself, you see, it's insightful to find out a bit more about the sectors in which you work. Now, we had a conversation, didn't we, previously?
Yeah.
Because I do a lot of work in education, and you've also sort of been speaking to people in Hereford in a new organisation that's been set up. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yes, it's a new it's a new university or university course that's been set up. It's NMIT, NMIT, which is New Model in Technology and Engineering. And they have taken a very different approach to how they educate young people, or in fact mature people, into having engineering degrees. The thing I really liked about this was the very practical and hands-on approach that they take, where everything is about projects. Industry is providing problems for them to solve. They're also providing real live projects that they need help in overcoming. And in their third year, they're also taking students to actually take part in industry projects themselves. The thing that is good about this is that we've got a master's in engineering, which is being presented over 3 years, not 4. So for students, if they're taking out a loan, that's only 3 years of tuition fees. And they're also in the syllabus is arranged in project modules, and they are looking at, I think it's a 42-week year for the students, which is a long time in comparison to most university courses. And they're even having a week, number of hours per week is about 40, and because that mimics an industrial placement, it means the intent is that the students are going to be coming out industry ready with all the skills necessary to plug in and be productive. And I've seen graduates come out from university, and it's through no fault of their own. They just haven't had that practical experience to be able to work with businesses and put the productivity in that they really feel they should do. And industry is concerned about having to do some training to build that gap. So what NMIT is trying to do, and I think they'll be very successful, is to bridge that gap by providing industry the level of skills that they do need, and with students who are really switched on and able to be thoroughly productive on the way. So it's the first year that they're taking students in. That the intake is in March. I believe they're taking 3 intakes a year to share it across so they're not swamped, and they are trying to work with a lot of businesses around the region and nationally to try and support the students on the way through. What I'm trying to do is get involved on a small scale to sort of share my industry knowledge and the approaches I take to problem solving. And hopefully I'll be able to provide them with some of the past problems that they can use as an initial analysis and work through as part of their project.
Plus, with you being an engineer, you will have so much experience yourself that you can also impart for the students. So that actually sounds a really excellent initiative. Is it online, or is it a physical place that they go to in Hereford?
There is a physical place. I'm sure that at the moment they're having to plan for quite a bit that's online, but there's so much involved in collaboration that the students are going to have to work together. So yeah, whether they'll be able to achieve that remotely or whether they'll be able to go straight in with physical attendance, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the other advantage, of course, as I said earlier, that if they're going to become engineers, they need as many friends as they can get.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. Well, it sounds a great initiative, and also fantastic for Hereford as well, if that is an area that they needed to develop more in, helping bring these new people through. and getting their master's degree? I mean, it can be open to anybody, I assume, young or people older in their careers, so they can look at retraining.
What is unusual is that I believe the applications are not done through UCAS. It's been accredited by the Open University,
Oh, okay.
and they would take students from pretty much any sort of background and any age group. So they are welcoming mature people who have already got some industry experience, because that's going to be shared with other students there. But also, what really surprised me is that I understand that there's not a requirement to have A level in maths. Now, for
Right.
anyone who really doesn't do academic exams very well, that could be a godsend for them, because they're looking for practical people who can apply things rather than just having an academic knowledge. And for young people who just really don't get on with school, yeah, I think this is a golden opportunity to get a really, really good degree, good qualification, experience in industry, and pretty much a guarantee of a job. We're
Yeah.
so short of engineers that I think that a lot of employers would be very keen to see what sort of quality is going to come out.
It's really encouraging that, you know, with the development of the T levels and things, they're looking at the abilities of pupils, both from an academic and a practical perspective. So that's a real positive step. So fingers crossed, that's a huge success for them. Now, you've mentioned about education, so I want to know a bit more about you as a person, Peter, and what was your school career like? What did you enjoy school? Well, you mentioned you were an engineer, so what was your path?
I had a very traditional schooling. I went to it was a grammar school. In those days, it was, I mean, we're talking a long time ago. It was a state-funded school anyway, and it was a segregated all-boys school. So we
Oh,
had
wow.
all of 6 girls in the whole of the school, and they were all in the sixth form. Um, and it was well equipped for the time, but I was a bit of a maverick, because I wanted to do subjects which didn't match with the type of curriculum that they normally managed to do. So and the practicality meant that whilst most people in a grammar school may be encouraged to go down a more academic route, I was still interested in the more practical side. And
Yeah.
to choose to go to a little known university called Brunel was was a little
Okay.
bit frowned upon, shall we say. But that's what I particularly wanted to do. And so I took an engineering degree in electrical and controls, 4-year sandwich course, which again, we don't have very many of. And that's one of the reasons why I'm quite keen on this NMIT approach, is where the industry experience is interspersed. And the course was interspersed with placements at Metal Box, which has now moved into different types of companies such as Crown. But I had a very structured training, a semi-apprenticeship as with Metal Box, getting experience in different parts of their departments, and learning quite a few skills on the way.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds to me that you're very much a practical skills kind of guy there, Peter. And I'm interested to hear your views on what sort of skills and attributes do you think students and pupils are going to need in the future in their careers, both in engineering or in any sort of sector. What's your view on skills?
It's a tricky one, because it really depends on what sort of thing they are looking to try and achieve. I think I can really generally speak only about the scientific side. I think the most important thing is an understanding and listening to what the problem is. from my point of view, engineering is all about problem solving. And so if you don't understand what it is that problem is, what makes up that problem, it's going to be very difficult for any student to be able to apply any of the theory that they've learned. But there's also an element which I think sadly misses out in schooling, is that failure is okay. There is no right answer. It's possible to have several different answers, all of which are equally valid. But also it could be that something is not an achievable task, and it uses lots of different skills. So whilst we're learning through the education system about, we have English, maths, foreign languages, different sciences, we have all those in individual subjects, but real life never gets presented to us in one of those subjects. It's always a blend of different things. And so I think that I wouldn't say it's necessarily an error, but there's a bit of an assumption that once you leave formal education, that things are going to be presented to you because that's what you've been used to over the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
As a package. And actually, you've got to use a little bit of intelligence of weeding out information or finding new information. And those sort of the investigative skills, in fact, for any walk of life, I think is a necessary skill for anyone to have, rather than just say the answer will be this.
I think you're absolutely right, because there could be a number of different solutions, and for me, I think where you've identified these areas for improvement, that's the area that you're most likely to grow and learn from, aren't they? So, you know, I totally get that. So yeah, but I also know that you're an Army cadet instructor.
That's correct.
So you're working with youngsters anyway. So what sort of skills did you learn from doing that? And how do you think it differs from like what pupils learn in schools?
Well, the reason I wanted to become an instructor was, I think it was a combination of midlife crisis, and I wanted to find another hobby, something different to do with my time, and also to give something back to the community, because with my kids are now, they've left home, you're used to actually giving, sort of supporting them, and I wanted to be able to support other people in a way that was structured, and I felt that Army Cadets was quite good. And initially all I was going to do was just support them in their administration and just organization, but I got persuaded into being an instructor and wanting to teach them. The thing I've found is that young people who join the Army Cadets are they like to have some sort of regularization. They like a structure in their life. There's a range of different reasons. Some don't really get on with school, and they like having something which is much more practical. Others, there are some kids who need to have a little bit more stability, that maybe they need someone that they can be confident in, that they know is going to support them.
Like a role model or that sort of thing.
There is, yes, and there are some unfortunate circumstances where family life isn't so brilliant, and they just need to be able to get something that is a little bit more stable for them.
Yeah.
The whole approach seems to be much more physical and practical rather than theoretical. So the intent is to teach or encourage cadets to be self-sufficient, be resilient, learn some life skills, and how to do first aid, how to look after themselves in the field, how to get dirty. I mean, that's every parent's nightmare when they come back from a camp and there's this pile of washing. And And there's always that that sort of very cool attraction to teenage boys, particularly, that yes, they get to handle real firearms and shoot them on in safe conditions.
Yeah, yeah.
But the sort of, what's underpinning that is a sense of leadership. There's a structure, a level of responsibility, and people are there for a common purpose. Doesn't matter about the age or the abilities. And I've seen that the kids support each other so well that they, even though they may come from different schools, some schools are rivals, there may be disputes, but actually they come together with a common goal. They have a uniform to wear, which sort of masks any differences of ability or finance, and they're doing something and together. And in some cases, some kids are better at practical stuff, but they might not be so good at academic, and they can help out the others, and that gives them such a lift and such a boost in confidence that we do have a lot of kids who either want to continue to join the army, or they develop a lot of leadership awareness and support, and they become really good citizens.
It's brilliant, and it's fantastic that it helps with their teamwork, because obviously when you go into a work environment then it's all about teamwork as well, isn't it? So they're learning both leadership and teamwork skills, which are vital for their future career. That's really interesting.
Yeah. I think not a lot of people tend to think of the Army Cadets as it's the army, but it isn't actually. It has the structure, but it's not the attitude is not what people would necessarily think. Yeah. It is about encouragement, training people to have a better sense of self-worth, and also to be aware of others. It's scouts with guns.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we've spoken about sort of your involvement in Hereford. We've spoken about your involvement with the cadets. Tell me a bit more about your actual business, Peter. Your core responsibility in that. What do you do at MAT?
Well, as I said at the outset, we're here to help solve problems. But I've done quite a lot of development over the last couple of years, and really the time that we are most beneficial to a company is at the point at which they have just realized that they have a problem but don't know how to solve it. A lot of small businesses, particularly, they don't have the resource in-house to understand. Well, they may understand their process, but if it doesn't work as expected, they don't necessarily have the resource or the time to be able to work out how can they improve it. They don't necessarily have access to other industries other than their own to see what happens there. And in terms of being able to follow legislation or make a step change, it's a big wrench. It's very difficult for someone to justify the time to be able to make that step and not be able to sort of concentrate on running the business. So what we've realized is missing is that function that a business owner can say, I need to get from here to here. How am I going to do it? And what we will do is find out what it is that is a problem, how it can be overcome, how the improvement can be made, and give them a very clear map of what happens. That's the sort of thing they can present to the bank to justify, to say what we're doing. We need some finance to support it, and this is all under control. And it supports that, and then we can even help them execute that change and train them in how to use the new version of their company or the new part of the plant, and all the time working with their team. So it's almost like having.
Sorry, it's manufacturing, isn't it, specifically that you work with?
It is it's manufacturing, any industry that's got some sort of process involved, no process of, shall we say, it transform or move. So it's
Okay.
moving materials around, pumping, changing state, heat, mixing, chopping,
Okay.
anything that's going to be a change in the process,
Yeah.
we get excited about the wrong sort of things, I think.
I mean, for those people that know me know that I use Twitter, and I saw just the other day they've now got a manufacturing UK hour.
Yeah,
Specifically for those manufacturers on I think it's on a Tuesday evening between 8 and 9.
I think you're right.
So it's called Man UK Hour. And I thought, how fantastic that although they're doing manufacturing, they're also looking at digitizing sort of their marketing as well. And so it shows that they are moving forward in their thinking.
Yeah, yeah, and it isn't all about applying technology. I think progress in manufacturing is quite often seen as something that is, you've got to automation the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And people worry about losing jobs. And I was at a seminar yesterday. We were talking about how people are quite often getting left out of the program because it's all about efficiency. And with that efficiency, you're getting predictability, but you can't adapt to anything going wrong. And that's where we need people who can all think for themselves. We train them at school to think, and we need people as part of the process, not as part of the machine.
Well, that gives the balance, doesn't it? And it also brings innovation and creativity within that. So otherwise you would continue along a path of always getting something, whereas the injection of humans thinking and creativity can bring that innovation. So yeah. I totally get it. It sounds like a really interesting business to work in, Peter. So tell me, I mean, you just mentioned there you've been to a recent conference and things. So tell me a bit about who's inspired you in your sort of career up to this point, or who do you look out to in industry that inspires you?
I find that excuse me, people with small businesses who are constantly looking to keep on top of their growth and their own development. I find they are innovators, but they're also interested in what's actually happening beneath their feet.
Yeah.
There's some business, for instance, in Northern Ireland that I've worked with a few times. They have grown from a garage to and adapted to what's required in the market. They listen to their customers to find out what they want, and they have a very, very clear goal as to where they want to take their business. And the key thing that any business that actually is interested in their own employees, I always have a lot of time for.
Yeah.
If they are if they use their employees to develop and grow, I'm 100% on board with that type of thing. And I always look up to those people because I know that they care.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. That's really good. And to be fair, people are the core of any business success. So that's a fantastic place to start.
People are the means to innovate and change. Machines, once they are designed and built by people, quite often, they stay fixed. Whereas people are the ones that are going to move things along.
Totally. So where do you operate from, Peter? Because I'm based in Worcestershire. Are you UK wide, or where's your customers?
We are based in Worcestershire, but to be honest, we've operated with remote offices for a number of years now. We've had employees who connect in over over a network. It's not innovative, but actually we realized that we couldn't have people physically coming in and out of Worcestershire and service clients on Humberside, Liverpool, Scotland, without having an awful lot of traveling. And as you see, we've got a logo for ISO 14001, so we do have to walk the walk as well as just have the certification for environmental.
Yeah,
So,
brilliant. It's something a lot of businesses are looking at, aren't they? The green agenda and sustainability of their businesses. So yeah. So if people want to reach out and find you, Peter, how do they get in touch with you?
we have a reasonably up-to-date, I say very up-to-date website, which is matl.co.uk. But you can contact me directly at pkfrancis@matl.co.uk, or if you dial 01905 888 174, and our delightful switchboard will direct you to come and have a chat with us. And we would like to hear from anybody who does have a little problem, would like to try and improve, overcome some issues, or just create something new. We'd be delighted to at least have a chat with you and see how we can help.
Brilliant. Can you just give me that phone number again, Peter?
Yes, it's 01905 888 174.
Fabulous. Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure, Peter, to speak to you today.
Thank you very much, Marie.
And good luck, and fingers crossed that everything goes fantastically well in Hereford as well with the, what did you call it? NMIT?
NMIT, yes.
NMIT. Do you know what that stands for?
I think it's New Model in Integrated Technology and Engineering.
Ah, okay. I get it. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Peter.
Thank you very much, Marie.
Thanks then. Bye.
Okay, bye.